You can feel it when someone is trying to push you. Your shoulders tighten, your mind starts looking for exits, and even if their idea is good, you want to say no just to stay free. If you have ever watched yourself do that, even with people you love, then you already understand the first law of persuasion. Nobody wants to be handled. Most people think persuasion is about having the right words. I think it is about having the right aim. The aim is not to win. The aim is to lower threat and raise meaning. When threat is high, the brain goes into protection. When meaning is high, the brain leans in. You can feel this in your own body. A push feels like heat in the chest. A pull feels like space in the ribs. Late at night, persuasion gets honest. You are not trying to impress anyone. You are trying to understand why people move toward some things and away from others. The truth is simple and uncomfortable. People do not decide with logic first. They decide with emotion, identity, and attention. Then they use logic, like a lawyer, to explain the decision afterward. There is a term for that: confirmation bias. It means we hunt for evidence that supports what we already feel is true. If someone feels your idea threatens their identity, they will find reasons to reject it. If they feel your idea protects their identity, they will find reasons to accept it. So the real question is not, how do I convince them? The real question is, what does this mean about who they are? I want you to picture a door with 3 locks. The first lock is attention. The second lock is emotion. The third lock is identity. Most people try to pick the third lock with facts. It does not work. You have to open the locks in order. Attention is not a spotlight you control. It is a guard dog. It barks at anything that feels irrelevant or risky. If you start with what you want, the dog hears threat. If you start with what they want, the dog hears relevance. This is why the first seconds matter, not because of a trick, but because the brain is filtering. It is asking, is this for me, and is this safe? Safety is not softness. Safety is clarity. Safety is when your tone and your intent match. People are always scanning for misalignment. They listen for the hidden hook. If your voice is calm, but your goal is control, they sense it. If your words are confident, but your energy is needy, they sense it. Neediness is persuasive poison. It makes your message feel like a debt they will have to pay. One of the cleanest ways to create safety is to name the pressure without adding more pressure. There is a term for this: affect labeling. It means putting a simple name on an emotion, like saying, this feels like a lot, or this might feel pushy. When you label an emotion, the brain calms down because the feeling becomes a known object instead of a fog. You are not cornering them. You are standing beside them and looking at the same thing. Now, emotion. People think emotion is irrational. Emotion is actually information. It tells the brain what matters. If your message does not connect to what matters, it will not stick. This is where most persuasion fails. It stays in the world of features and skips the world of felt experience. I will make it concrete. Imagine someone is always late. You can throw facts at them about respect and time. Or you can connect to what their lateness costs in real life. The cost is not minutes. The cost is tension. The cost is the small humiliation of walking in after everyone has adjusted. The cost is the quiet story they tell themselves: I cannot get it together. If you speak to the cost they already feel, you do not have to raise your voice. You are not adding guilt. You are describing reality. That is persuasion at its best. It is not manipulation. It is precision. Manipulation hides the true goal. Persuasion makes the true goal easier to see. Then identity, the deepest lock. Identity is the answer to the question, what kind of person am I? If your request makes someone feel like a bad person, they will resist even if the request is reasonable. If your request makes someone feel like a capable person, they will cooperate even if it is hard. This is why shaming people rarely changes them. Shame attacks identity. It says, you are the problem. The brain protects itself by denying, minimizing, or counterattacking. There is another term here, cognitive dissonance. It means mental tension when our actions do not match our self-image. If someone believes I am responsible, but they keep missing deadlines, they feel dissonance. They can reduce it in two ways. They can change their behavior, or they can change their story. Most people change the story because it is cheaper in the moment. They say, the deadline was unrealistic, or nobody told me, or it did not matter. If you want real change, you make behavior change feel cheaper than story change. How do you do that? You reduce friction. You make the next step small. You remove ambiguity. You attach the behavior to an identity they already like. Not in a fake compliment way, in a grounded mirror. You are the kind of person who follows through when it counts. This is important, so let's make it easier to follow through. Habits matter here because habits are persuasion that happens in the dark. A habit is a repeated behavior that becomes automatic. If you can shape the environment, you shape the habit. If you can shape the habit, you shape the identity. People think identity creates behavior. Behavior also creates identity. Every repeated action is a vote for a self-image. Now let me slow down and make persuasion feel real in your hands. Think about the last time you tried to convince someone and it went badly. You probably pushed harder. You probably explained more. That is a normal reflex. It is called the righting reflex in helping psychology. It means when we see someone making a choice we think is wrong, we rush to correct it. The problem is, correction often creates resistance. Resistance is not stubbornness. Resistance is autonomy. Autonomy is the need to feel in control of your own choices. So when you feel yourself pushing, pause and look for the autonomy need. People rarely resist the content. They resist the feeling of being controlled. If you restore choice, you restore movement. Choice can be as simple as giving two options that both respect them, or it can be as simple as asking permission to continue. Not as a script, but as a signal. I am not here to trap you. Persuasion also lives in timing. When someone is hungry, tired, or flooded with stress, their prefrontal cortex goes offline. That is the part of the brain that does planning and self-control. Under stress, people default to habit and emotion. If you try to persuade during that state, you are negotiating with a storm. The best persuaders do not argue with storms. They wait for weather. You can hear this in your own life. A request that feels reasonable at noon can feel insulting at midnight. Same words, different nervous system. So part of persuasion is nervous system awareness, yours and theirs. And then there is credibility. Not the loud kind, the quiet kind. Credibility is built when your actions match your claims. The brain tracks patterns more than promises. This is why consistency is persuasive. If you are steady, people relax. If you are unpredictable, people guard themselves. Guarded people do not change their minds. They defend them. There is a subtle persuasion tool that almost nobody uses well. It is silence. Silence gives the other person space to hear themselves. Many people talk to fill the gap because the gap feels like rejection. But the gap is where reflection happens. If you keep talking, you keep them reacting. If you stop, you invite them to think. Another tool is specificity. Vague requests create vague results. Vague language also creates suspicion. When people cannot picture what you mean, they assume the worst. But when you describe the next concrete action, you reduce uncertainty. Uncertainty feels like danger to the brain. Certainty feels like relief. Even your framing matters. Framing is the mental picture you place around the same facts. If you frame a change as a loss, people resist. Loss aversion is a bias, where losses feel more painful than gains feel good. So if you say, you will lose freedom, they cling. If you say you will gain ease, they consider. This is not about tricking. It is about choosing the most accurate frame. Many changes are not losses, they are trades. You trade short-term comfort for long-term calm. You trade chaos for control. Now I want to talk about persuasion with yourself, because that is where your power actually starts. Every day you are persuading your own mind. You are persuading it to scroll, or to sleep, or to start, or to delay. You are persuading it with pictures, with stories, with rewards. Operant conditioning is the psychology term for behavior shaped by consequences. It means what gets rewarded gets repeated. If procrastination gives you relief, your brain learns procrastination. If action gives you relief, your brain learns action. So if you want to become more persuasive with others, practice being persuasive with yourself in a clean way. Do not threaten yourself. Do not shame yourself. Make the desired behavior easier and make the reward honest. The honest reward is not fantasy. The honest reward is the feeling of being aligned, the quiet pride of doing what you said you would do. People trust people who trust themselves. Not perfectly, just consistently. And there is one more layer, maybe the deepest one. Your intent. If your intent is to extract, people feel it. If your intent is to help them choose well, people feel that too. Intent changes your microbehavior. It changes your pace. It changes your listening. Listening is persuasion because it signals respect. Respect lowers threat. Lower threat opens attention. Open attention allows meaning. Meaning invites change. When I'm most persuasive, I am not performing. I am paying attention. I am watching what makes the other person tense. I am noticing what they protect. I am hearing the need underneath their words. Often the need is simple, to be seen as competent, to be safe, to be free, to matter. If you speak to that need, you do not need to win arguments. You build agreement at the level where decisions are actually made.